Hey beautiful people, welcome back. The Doctrine of Parents, Patrea, and Child Support 101. If you want to take any steps towards getting your children back, or your sister's children, or your loved ones back, no matter how old they are, whether they were taken straight from birth, because that happens a lot. And that is what is literally spoken of in Revelations 12:4. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. This is precisely what was foresaw when this thing called the Bible was taken from different series of documents, and they had the scholars come together and compile it. What they're talking about is child support here. This dragon is the state of so-and-so and its corresponding agencies that are acting as withholding agents and as parents of that child based on a trust relationship. The dragon that stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, you, the woman, or the parents themselves who came together and gave birth to that child. The dragon stood in front of you all, or the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour the child the moment he was born. That is what a lot of people go through. And in some cases, if your child was not taken away from you from birth, they're taken away through other means. They're taken away through the exact process that they do when they do probate, when someone passes away, and they're distributing their estate back into the state of, or to whatever child is left in a trust instrument, such as the will, or the delegation of authority through the trust instrument or the trust resolution. But if you don't have that, it is automatically presumed that the child is that of the state and that the parent are automatically unfit. Matters not whether you're making three figures, matters not whether you're a hustler, matters not whether you're a prostitute, matters not whether you have your master's degree, matters not whether you're a crackhead who used to suck dick in the back of the alley to go get some white girl. Doesn't matter. Does not matter what it is you do in life. And I know some of that analogy might be somewhat extreme, but this is real life. These are the things that happen. Nobody's perfect. No matter whether you think you're educated or whether you think someone is the lowest point in life. These are the principles that they use. It's given to you in your religious beliefs. And believe it or not, that verse, Revelation 12:4, you can use it in any court case, because the United States and its agency have no power to make determination in religious instructions and belief. And that is another thing we'll be talking about on my Patreon. But nonetheless, for those of you here on YouTube, here's the general stuff that I'll leave you with to work with. Those on Patreon, we'll be going into details and the dynamics of this in the court case and how you can use it to take your children back. Parens Patrea. Parens Patrea is a Latin word for parent of the people, meaning someone else is taking the role of a parent for the people, your children, who was taken. And that someone else is that dragon which stood there. If they don't physically take it through police power, it's all over the internet. People having video camera of a mother whose child just came out of her a couple of seconds. She's weak. She's still fuzzy in the mind. Her body's weak. She doesn't really have a lot of people there to stand for her. And if they do try to stand, they don't understand the principles of law and the fact that at that point they need to put their life in the line to save and preserve the integrity of that soul, spirit, and body called that child, no matter what, by all means necessary. If they don't do that and they don't physically take it, at that point they will use quasi-legal jurisdiction to do so. And part of that, whether it's done through force or through intellectual means, which is pen and paper. Effective way to really usurp someone is through pen and paper rather than shedding blood or using force of arms. And part of that is Parens Patrea, parent of the people, and that parent of the people is not you. Under Parens Patrea, a state court has a parental and protective role over the citizens or other subjects to its jurisdiction. The easiest and the quickest way to gain jurisdiction and make someone your subject is to take them while they're fresh, especially if the parents have a pre-existing presumption that they themselves have no standing or capacity. Not that you're not intelligent, not that you're not grown, but simply because your mind, your understanding of who they are and who you are. The doctrine Here's the doctrine. I always tell people, learn about the different doctrines when it comes to law. Learn about the doctrines, because the doctrines are the dynamics. In order for the pistons in an automobile to start moving and to start creating that combustion, it needs some electrical spark. They all work hand in hand. It needs some type of air pressure. It needs some type of fuel. All that little small dynamics outside of what you're looking at as a car or a machine or a truck, it's called the engine. And the system of that engine itself is not just what you look at when you open the hood. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And those moving parts, when it comes to law and equity, are called doctrines. They have doctrines within these things. And the doctrines are the moving parts to that engine. The doctrine of Parens Patrea is a doctrine under which a state, and a state does not necessarily have to be state of, it can be the agency, the child support agency. It can be with a withholding agent, literally. The term withholding agent is a taxing term. And we'll go into that on my Patreon also, because that has a lot to this. It is through that form of taxation that grants is taken also. It's a pool that they pull grants from tax based on how things are withheld from other people's paychecks. So that state is not necessarily state of so. It can be, but it's not always the case. Parens Patrea is a doctrine under which a state has third party standing, meaning there is a real party of interest. Third party means they're not the main ones who have the right of ownership or right to state a claim to that body or jurisdiction, or to call that child the subject, whether on a commercial level or on a natural level. But if you, the parents, who are the real party in interest, are not stating that claim predominantly, then the third party will come in, because there's a lingering presumption that you have abandoned their right of claim. Under a state, under which a state has a third party standing to bring a lawsuit on behalf of a citizen, the child, when the suit implicates a state's quasi-sovereign, I mean, they're telling you it's not real. A state's quasi-sovereign interest for the well-being of the citizen, meaning we're doing this for the best interest of the child, because there's a presumption that you're not fit to be the real party in interest. So we as a third party are stepping in. This right here is the most basic foundation of what child support is built upon. And if you get this, you will see it through each and every step that I'll be going over on Patreon, and how your solution exists and the things that I'll be showing you. The Parens Patrea doctrine is also the doctrine in which all orphans, meaning they don't have to formally go through the paperwork of putting them into a orphanage home. The moment they're born, they are considered orphans, because there's no real party in interest. Dependent child, that child that's coming out of that mother's womb, and persons deemed incompetent, meaning it doesn't have to be a child, are within the special protection, meaning special law. Whenever you see terminologies like general or special, general refers to common law, special refers to administrative private laws. These are just complementary and supplementary terms. And persons deemed incompetent are within the special protection and under the control of the state. They will take control of every way they want. In the past, over about 7 or 8 months ago, we spoke about the court test and the control test when it comes to the court's jurisdiction over your trust and the type of trust that you have and how they gain jurisdiction. This control is literally the exact same thing that they do when they do a control test when it comes to trust. Trust, discharge, and child support, and the principles of Parens Patrea, and understanding the principles behind real party and interest. Rule 17. All those are essential matters that one must truly comprehend. See here where it says the doctrine under which a state has third party standing, meaning a third party is coming in if you fail to be a real party in interest. The third party comes in the capacity of an executor, and an administrator, and a guardian. Based on Rule 17, they are using these principles, the dynamics of parliamentary rules, to use court proceedings, the legal proceedings, to take over your children. There are always lines of paperwork, and that line of paperwork show them as a third party right here. And the third party only has a standing if you, the parents, have failed to be the real party in interest. So they come in as an executor, administrator, or a guardian. An action must be prosecuted in the name of the real party in interest. The following may sue in their own names without joining the party for those whom benefit the action is brought. For whom the benefit the action is brought. The benefit in which the action is brought is on behalf of your own children under presumption of parens patrea, under a third party, because your child is deemed as a subject to the jurisdiction. What jurisdiction? The quasi-sovereign jurisdiction, based on their quasi-sovereign interests for the well-being of the children. The well-being, aka the benefit of the children. So they come in as these three capacities. You really truly want to learn more and actually know how to solve it and see results? Come join my Patreon. I will show you these things. If you're serious about getting your children back, a couple of bucks every month wouldn't be a problem. If not, that's fine. You get the basics here on YouTube. Take care and best of luck.